And we're starting off the bulletin with some breaking news coming in. US Department of State Principal Deputy Spokesperson Vedant Patel has now spoken on the India-China border situation. Patel said that the US is closely monitoring the situation broadly regarding border clashes, and Patel also added that they are glad to hear that at least in December, both sides, which is India and China, appeared to have disengaged. So the statement coming in from US Department of State Principal Deputy Spokesperson Vedant Patel, who spoke on the India-China issue and said that they are closely monitoring the situation regarding border clashes and that they are glad to hear that at least in December, India and China appeared to have disengaged and there were no clashes as we've seen in the past. So in the past, we've seen a number of clashes between India and China at the LAC, but now a statement coming in from US Department of State which says that they are closely monitoring the situation and they are glad that there were no clashes on the LAC in December between India and China, and there appeared to have a disengagement. Listen in to what he said.
Closely monitoring the situation broadly on regarding the border clashes, and are glad to hear at least in December that both sides to have appeared to have disengaged. But we'll check if we've got any specific updates for you.
CNN News 18's Abhishek Jha is joining us on this story. Abhishek, can you give us more context on the statement given by Vedant Patel?
We know that India and China, they have been having this discussion of disengagement along line of action control ever since that Galwan clash has happened 3 years back. And in that context, he has said that there are things that are moving forward in positive direction. And he's mentioned that how in December 2022, there has been certain more disengagement. But we know that there are still there are roadblocks, and a full disengagement that has been India's wish along that region of line of action control has not been fulfilled yet. Chinese side is still present. There are massive military deployment also from Chinese side and the counter deployment from the Indian side. However, this is US's perspective that they have been following this incidence of tension, or this incidence, the developing situation in line of action along line of action control, India and China, and they are taking it in that stride that there has been multiple disengagements in the past, and the latest in December also. This is what Vedant Patel has mentioned during a question about this India-China conflict that has been going on.
Abhishek, how significant is the LAC issue for the United States?
At this point of time, if you talk about, then clearly United States would not like to have any new tension flaring up in any part of the world, because NATO and USA are deeply and heavily invested in Ukraine-Russia war, with their arms, their ammunition, their financial assistance, their diplomatic relations, and every resources is actually implied there. Then again, USA is also having a tough competition coming from China in terms of economic dominance at the global stage, because Chinese manufacturing industries has actually given a tough competition to USA. In fact, the global supply chain disruption that we're currently talking about is largely because Chinese manufacturing industry are not, reaching out to the world at this point of time because of multiple reasons. There has been COVID pandemic, and then there has been other issues. So in that context, USA would not like to have anything that disrupts the current order of the world in terms of economic order or in terms of strategic order as well. And if anything flares up along India-China border tension, since USA is a close strategic ally of India also, that it will have to pitch in with some resources or some diplomacy in that sector also. So probably this is the best that USA can wish at this point of time, that the situation along line of action control between India and China remains stable and calm.
Abhishek, what message does this statement by the US Department of State give out to the world?
We can say that USA has been following up all the developments that are happening along line of action control in Ladakh. And this is not of recent something. This has been going on for almost 3 years now. In fact, after Galwan clash, when things were looking ahead in a positive direction, there was this clash between Indian soldiers and the Chinese soldiers on 9th of December also. And then it looked like there could be more conflict along line of actual control. And that was the point when there was this concern expressed by various countries also. But now it looks like it's been almost 2 months and situation have been mostly quiet and controlled in that area. And there have been engagements, military engagements and diplomatic engagements between India and China on that issue of how to maintain that peace and status quo along line of actual control. And in that context, USA has shown its interest or its comment that they are following up the whole situation that is developing along line of actual control between India and China.
Abhishek, what is the current situation at the LAC now that the statement has come? Of course, they have said that there has been disengagement in the month of December, but what is the current situation, if you could just tell us?
So there are conflicting reports saying that there are multiple disengagement points that has been there, but the main friction points are still to be disengaged. And also, though there are talks of disengagement, and this is a very slow pace of disengagement happening, but there is massive deployment of Chinese forces. Their heavy artillery and weapons are on the borders. There is continuous infrastructural development from Chinese side. And of course, there are countermeasures also taken by Indian side. There are battalions and brigades of heavy armament deployed along line of actual control. So the situation is very tense, but still very much under control. And having seen the recent developments when talking about the 9th of December, when there was clashes among the soldiers and there had been injuries also reported in Indian side and in Chinese side. So situation remains very volatile. And in that context, it can be a cause of concern for other major countries also who have their strategic interests and economic interests in this area. Because India being a major player in South Asia, it has a good rapport and a deep relationship with USA and European countries. So they want to have a peace.
All right, Abhishek. We're joined by defense expert A.K. Siraj on this story. Sir, good morning. So, sir, US Department of State has given this statement where they've said that they're closely monitoring the situation at the LAC and that they are glad that there was disengagement, at least in the month of December, between India and China. What are your views on this?
Yeah, Anjali, there's no doubt that disengagement has taken place in some sectors. And basically, it has been completed in other than Dapsang and Damchok area. So basically in Gogra Hot Spring and north and south of Pangangso. But the friction points and the problem of patrolling are still available in Dapsang as well as Damchok. In overall, what has happened is those disengagement has taken place in these sectors like Gogra Hot Spring and north and south of Pangangso. But the induction of the troops have not taken place. The heavy armor, tanks, as well as the heavy equipment is still in Rudong, which is about 50 to 60 kilometers. And the situation is tense, one can say, under control. But you cannot rely on China because China is building up their infrastructure starting from Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh at a very fast pace. And they have been doing what they have been doing, not only in Ladakh, but they did it in April, May 2020. Also, they tried in Yangtze in Arunachal Pradesh. So one can say that you are not only being confronted by them in eastern Ladakh, but you also have to be very alert and live in central sector. That is, you are basically Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, and also the eastern sector, which is Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. So my